My name is Elias Crane, and I've been a chef for over a decade. I've cooked for celebrities, politicians, and even royalty. But nothing, not even the most extravagant Michelin-starred kitchens, could have prepared me for this job. It started with a letter, slipped under my apartment door in the dead of night. No return address, no sender's name, just elegant handwriting in dark blue ink. You are invited to cook for a most distinguished guest. A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity awaits. If you accept, come to the address below at midnight. Do not be late. Normally, I'd ignore something so cryptic. But there was something about that note, maybe the way my name was written, as if the sender knew me, that sent a shiver down my spine. Curiosity got the better of me. At exactly midnight, I arrived at an old Victorian mansion deep in the woods outside town. The place was like something out of a Gothic fairy tale, twisted iron gates, ivy-covered walls, and windows glowing with an eerie golden light. A woman was waiting for me at the entrance. She was tall, draped in a shimmering silver dress that seemed to shift and flicker like moonlight on water. Her face was otherworldly, too beautiful to be human, her eyes impossibly bright and full of knowing. "You must be Elias Crane," she said with a smile. "I have been waiting for you." I hesitated. "And you are?" "You may call me Celine. I require a chef, a personal chef, but my meals are different." I frowned. "Different how?" She stepped closer, her perfume smelling like something ancient, like rain-soaked earth and burning incense. "I do not eat food, Elias. I consume emotions." I almost laughed, but something about her gaze stopped me. She was deadly serious. "You will prepare meals infused with human emotions, sorrow, joy, love, despair, rage. Every dish must be crafted carefully. If it is lacking, I will know." She leaned in, her voice a whisper. "And trust me, you do not want to disappoint me." I should have left. I wanted to leave, but something about Celine's presence was intoxicating. Against my better judgment, I followed her inside. The kitchen was unlike any I'd ever seen. There were no stoves, no ovens, no ordinary utensils. Instead, strange tools lined the shelves, knives that gleamed with a blue glow, bowls carved from crystal, pots filled with shimmering liquid that pulsed like a heartbeat. Celine motioned to a recipe book bound in black leather. "Your first dish," she said, "will be sorrow. Something deep, lingering." I hesitated. How am I supposed to cook an emotion? She smiled. "You are a chef, Elias. You already know how. Every meal carries the imprint of the hands that made it. Have you never tasted a dish and felt the cook's emotions seep into it?" She had a point. There were meals I'd made on my worst nights, when I was heartbroken, exhausted, hopeless, and somehow, people could taste that sadness. But to do it intentionally, that was different. I decided to make something personal. A dish from my childhood, my grandmother's black garlic soup. It was the soup she made me the night my parents died in a car crash. Every spoonful had been warm, but it carried a depth of sorrow I could never put into words. As I cooked, I focused on that night. The cold hospital waiting room. The way my grandmother held my trembling hands. The moment I realized I was completely alone. When the dish was ready, I presented it to Celine. She took a slow sip. Then another. Her eyes fluttered shut, and a shudder ran through her body. When she opened them again, I saw something terrifying, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Perfect," she whispered. Over the next few weeks, I prepared more dishes, each one more challenging than the last. Joy, anger, nostalgia, fear. Every emotion had to be distilled, concentrated, and transformed into something edible. I learned that harvesting emotions wasn't as simple as cooking. Sometimes, I had to recall my own experiences. Other times, Celine would provide me with ingredients. One evening, she handed me a small glass vial filled with a swirling silver mist. "A gift," she said. "The sorrow of a man who lost his wife. Extracted the moment he heard the news." I stared at the vial in horror. "You take emotions from people." She tilted her head. "Do humans not do the same? You break each other's hearts, tear each other apart, and leave wounds that never heal." "I merely collect what is already there." I wanted to argue, but the truth was, she wasn't wrong. The meals became more intense. With each one, I felt myself unraveling. Cooking wasn't just cooking anymore, it was feeling. And feeling too much was dangerous. One night, after preparing a dish of pure terror, I collapsed. My body felt drained, my mind numb. I looked in the mirror and barely recognized myself. My eyes were sunken, my skin paler than before. I realized something horrifying. Celine wasn't just feeding on the meals. She was feeding on me. I tried to quit. I can't do this anymore, I told her. Find someone else. She simply smiled. You misunderstand, Elias. You were never hired. You were chosen. That night, I attempted to leave the mansion. The moment I stepped past the gate, a searing pain shot through my chest. My knees buckled. I gasped for air. Celine's voice echoed behind me. You belong to me now, Elias. You are my chef, my artist, my source. I crawled back, defeated. She knelt beside me, stroking my hair like a mother comforting a child. You taste different now, she murmured. Desperation, fear, it suits you. I realized, with bone-chilling certainty, that I was never going home. Days blurred into weeks, weeks into months. My body weakened, my emotions drained. One night, Celine made a request. I want something new, Elias. Something rare, something final. I swallowed hard. What do you mean? She leaned close, her lips brushing my ear. I want a meal infused with your last emotion. My breath hitched. You mean? Yes. I was nothing more than an ingredient to her. That night, as I stood in the kitchen, I made my decision. I prepared my final dish, a delicate soufflé, infused with the only thing I had left. Defiance. Celine took a bite, and as she did, I whispered the words of a spell I had stolen from her book. A spell of reversal. Her eyes widened, her body shuddered. For the first time, she was the one losing something. She screamed as the emotions she had devoured over centuries ripped from her body: sorrow, joy, pain, love. They swirled into the air, vanishing into the night. Celine collapsed. I ran, and this time, the gates did not stop me. I never looked back, but sometimes, late at night, I hear a whisper in the wind, soft, hungry, waiting. Elias, I'm still hungry.